Hey there folks, welcome back to the Gunners Guild. In this video, we're going to be discussing Remnant 2, and so I'd like to briefly cover some quick tips and information that'll be useful if you start your playthrough on Remnant 2. Let's not waste too much time and just dive into this. So first thing is that I want to clear the air about your starting archetypes. Unlike Remnant 1, you don't actually miss out of anything by choosing one of the archetypes or another. In Remnant 1, you'd miss out on like the armor, the weapons, and the trait of the other archetypes that you didn't pick, and then you'd have to go out in the world and find them. Now here in Remnant 2, all the starting armors and weapons can be purchased from the vendors straight up, and the engrams, which are the archetype items themselves, can all be purchased from various NPCs as well. Just here in Ward 13, no prerequisites or nothing. You're just going to need some money to buy them first. So don't worry too much about your choice and just pick the one you want to use first. You'll get the rest in time. So with that, you do unlock the ability to use two archetypes, just not right away. You need to get 10 total trait points first, and then you're going to get a prompt saying that you can unlock a new archetype. So when you finally get the ability to equip two, you're going to make sure that you need the engram for another archetype, and then take that to Wally, where you got your first archetype, and he's going to unlock all your future archetypes. You just take it to him and pay like your luminite and scrap costs, and he'll unlock it for you. Do be careful on your expenditures though, because they do cost some good amount of scrap and luminite, and you need those for pretty much everything else, so be careful. Now, when you do have your two archetypes equipped, your XP is going to be shared between the two. Before you panic though, let me tell you how EXP share works on these. When you have one archetype equipped, 100% of the XP you earn is funneled into that one. Then when you have two archetypes equipped, it's split 50-50. Then, when one archetype is maxed out level 10, you'll then funnel again all 100% of your EXP into the one that's not currently maxed out. So you'll never have an EXP loss, so don't fret about having to juggle any of that stuff or some min-max way to like earn EXP. Now let's discuss another few things about the ward. Cass, for example, sells you materials for upgrades, and these will reset every time you clear a dungeon or a boss or a quest or something like that. They're not particularly expensive, but you will never have enough crafting materials, so stock up whenever you can. Speaking of stocking up, Cass will also occasionally sell rings and trinkets as well. Really good ones too. These are entirely random and will spawn in her sell tab when she resets her loot, so make a habit of checking in with Cass each time you return to the ward. Now before you try it, no, warping in and out just to the ward does not refresh her stock. Sorry, you're going to need to do some sort of event to trigger it or wait an X amount of time. Not exactly sure, but you can't just warp in and out. Don't forget to check the other vendors as well. Reggie will sell you new consumables, including the new grenades, and whenever you find a new type of item, buy it, because Reggie will then begin stocking those whenever he refreshes his stock. So you don't have to go to Yesha to pick up some shock grenades, Reggie will just start selling you shock grenades. Likewise for concoctions, Mudtooth is brewing up more than just stew these days, and whenever you find a new concoction, he will start selling those as well. Very nice quality of life design right there. Now the last vendor, the doctor, whom I can't recall the name of, sells all the curables for all the statuses and blights, and trust me when I say pick up some bandages at the very least. There's quite a few enemies out there that cause bleeding, and it's very nasty, so you're going to want to get some of those handy. Antidotes are another great pickup if you can afford them, but statuses hurt a lot in Remnant 2. The next thing is that Remnant 2 is big, like way bigger than Remnant 1, and so of course the maps and dungeons are bigger as well. Previously, when you'd go through Remnant dungeons, you're basically on the look for like your one corpse drop item, and then you race to the end to clear the boss or the ending puzzle or whatever. Don't do that here. Dungeons are much more complex and often contain many secrets, and even dungeons inside of dungeons. It gets crazy. So a good rule of thumb for traveling is never settle for less than 3 items in every zone. Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of stuff to pick up, trust me. So find your corpse drop, kill your boss or whatever the task is for the dungeon, and then at the very least, find something else hidden away. You'll save yourself a lot of backtracking in the future. Another big aspect to Remnant in general are their world bosses and their alternative kills. Like Remnant 1, Remnant 2 world bosses all have at least one alternative method that grants you an additional reward. This applies to Yesha, Narud, and Losum. Typically, you get a gun for the normal kill and a melee weapon for the alternate kill, so depending on your build or your style, you may want to try more creative approaches to bosses. And at the very least, you're going to need to do each boss at least twice to collect everything, but trust me, even after the bosses, there's still a lot of like things for your quest that can go differently, so just be on the lookout for options. Another small tip, the map is very useful in Remnant 2. The mini-map on your top right of your corner shows you your world level, which is just a number here. This is the level of the enemies in the area, and it's generated as soon as you load into that zone. The world level is based upon your player power, which is in your character page. Your power level is the combined average of your archetype levels as well as your weapon and melee levels. Unlike Remnant 1, you can't really just stick to low power levels the entire time, as many areas have minimum power levels, and because archetypes will continue to level up as you kill enemies and earn XP, before long, you're going to fall far behind and make things a lot more difficult for yourself. So try and keep your power level around the level of the zone, maybe 1 or 2 behind at most. Adding on to the map, use your big map often. It can help guide your way, mostly with the use of these zone doors. There are 2 types of zone doors on your map, the curved archways and the flat archways. Curved archways are side dungeons, meaning that you don't technically have to complete them to finish your world. Obviously there's going to be more loot inside, so you'd want to still do them, but it's technically optional. The square archways, on the other hand, are the main path, and these must be completed in order to finally progress into completing your world. The doors will also tell you the names of the zone when you hover over them, as long as you've been inside, as well as give you an indicator of if you've been there and if you've completed the zone. So really, it's kind of hard to get lost in Remnant 2, which is great. The last small thing about the maps is that they do show items like chests and loot that you haven't picked up, but you may have gotten close to. So if you ever feel like you may have missed something or forgot to pick up an item or whatever, you can always go back and check the map and see if anything's there. It will persist. Though if you do leave the zone and come back, it will clear. So just, make sure you look at your map before you leave the zones if you feel like you missed anything. Now, in each world you play, there will be one simulacrum, just like in Remnant 1. These are used for upgrading a relic, which is super important. It's basically your flask. And they're also used for the last upgrade of every single weapon. So you're going to need a lot of these. Make sure you get them somewhere in each of your world. Cast will also sell 1 simulacrum ever. It does not refresh, not even if you complete the game or start a new campaign or anything. She only ever has 1. So buy it at your leisure, but just know that that is the only freebie simulacrum. You're gonna have to find everything else. And the last tip I have for you is that stamina management is significantly more strict here in Remnant 2. Here, if you aim down sights with your gun, your stamina management slows to a crawl, and it becomes very easy to just constantly lose stamina by dodging and then not regenning it because you come right up and aim down sights again, or you're just holding down aim down sights. Try to only aim if you need to shoot so you can regen more stamina, and do pay attention to your stamina more than you're used to. There are plenty of stamina management items and traits, but starting the game out can be really rough, so be careful with that. And then kind of going with the stamina regen theme here, I do want to talk about neutral dodge real quick, which is extremely useful in case you're new to Remnant. Unlike other games that dodge the direction you're facing or pushing to go, Remnant has a neutral dodge if you aren't currently pushing any direction when you dodge. This will do a shorter back step that doesn't move the player very much. The iframes are a little bit shorter than a normal dodge, so will take some time to get used to, but it does provide the user with the ability to dodge without significantly repositioning or chance rolling off a ledge or into another hazard. Neutral dodge is easily the best dodge ever made in any video game, and I would highly recommend getting comfortable with it. It's kind of like a bread and butter skill you're going to need for Remnant. Alright, so that's all the tips I got for now. Please check back as I will be covering everything Remnant 2 related going forward. Thank you all for watching, and thank you to my Patreon members. I appreciate you all a whole ton, especially when I wasn't making any videos. And if anyone wants to talk shop about games, Remnant, or whatever, please feel free to join my Discord in the description below. But with that, let me just thank my sponsor really quick, and we'll get out of here. Peace. This video is sponsored by G Fuel, a great tasting dietary supplement that makes me feel like, hey, I don't need to go to the gym or eat healthy, I got vitamins. You can support me by supporting yourself with my promo code FEM to get 20% off at checkout.